Hi again, and welcome to the Recharge Your Marriage Show, where nothing is taboo and nothing is off limits for helping you refresh, reconnect, and reignite your relationship. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Zev Halpern. Hey, I went to a seminar this week and I swallowed fire and I broke a board in two with my bare palm. Now, why would I do that? Answer coming up a bit later. We have an exciting show tonight. Our marriage panel guests include Andrea Brody, Chief Marketing Exec for a global software company, Kiki Ramsey, coach and author, and Lisa Schlesinger, psychotherapist and psychoanalyst. We'll be digging deep into relationship topics that you've told us you want to hear more about. Getting your relationship unstuck. What happened to the novelty? Getting some of the marriage goodies you signed up for, like companionship, caring, a spouse who's present, and mutual sexual satisfaction. That might be nice. We're talking marriage, happy and not so happy. We always value your point of view. So let us know what's on your mind and what relationship challenges you want us to focus on. Send your comments directly to zev@rechargeyourmarriagenow.com. Please sit back, chillax, open your heart and mind, and consider some ways you can invest in your marriage, recharge, rekindle. Here's today's couple FYI. So how's your marriage? How do you two get along? Just couldn't be better. Our marriage? Great. Or we have our moments. Everything just status quo, same old, same old. I hear a lot of that said to me in many amazing ways. Or imagine this. A couple comes into the office to see me and I ask, how's your marriage? More times than not, one part of the couple says, oh, it's okay, it's all right, just great. The other partner in this marital enterprise looks at their mate with shock and sometimes disbelief and says, all right, are you kidding me? What about the yelling? We don't talk. We're not close anymore. And the list goes on and on. The couple speaks for many of our relationships. We do have an amazing propensity to either turn off or be turned off, like automatic ignore shields activated. We don't do this because we're all a bunch of schmucks. Well, I can't say that for everyone. There are certainly some out there. We ignore for many reasons. For example, because of where we are in our marriage, or we're just too darn stressed with life challenges. So we protect ourselves by shutting it down and ignoring the noise. The point tonight is turned off people who ignore their spouses are not hearing what's really going on in their relationship. Missing information turns into lost opportunities for your relationship. So tonight, just a positive suggestion. Find a way to air your grievances and communicate your desires. Here's one way to achieve this. List the essential 5 grievances and desires. Put them out on the table, one at a time. The listener says, I heard you say, for example, you'd like a hug from time to time. This shows the other person you get them. Most important, it's a fair hearing. I hear you, honey. I understand what you need more of or less of. I hear you is a strong, positive message that will make a real difference in your relationship. People really need and appreciate being heard. I know I do. At the least, this will make life together more tolerable, and at the best, it will lightly nudge you to be more present in some, not all facets of your marriage. A light hearing, not an or else kind of discussion. Just a recommendation. Take a look at this and we'll be right back to introduce you to tonight's marriage panel. Welcome back. One quick thing before I introduce the marriage panel. After the show, please take advantage of my new free course offering, Recipe for a Magnificent Marriage. Just log in to get my course for free. You won't be disappointed. And now, let's meet tonight's marriage panel. Andrea Brody is 53 years young. She's been married to her sports psychologist husband, Dr. Evan Brody, for 28 years. Andrea is currently the Chief Marketing Officer for a $90 million international software company whose dual headquarters in Milan, Italy, and Chicago. She has 3 great kids, and throughout her career, Andrea worked full-time, traveling the globe for business while raising her kids. Andrea Brody has over 25 years experience as a marketing exec in the high-tech industry. In 2015, she was awarded the Women Leading Women honor by the University of Maryland Smith School of Business. She's a native New Yorker, born and raised on Long Island, but has made her home in Montgomery County since she graduated the University of Maryland in 1987. The saying, "You can take the girl out of New York, but not the New York out of the girl," could not be so right in her case. Kiki Ramsey is a certified life coach, an author, professional speaker. Her transformational strategies help people find true meaning in life, doing the work they love. She's the CEO of Kiki Ramsey International and founder of Webpreneur University, an international community for female entrepreneurs to get empowered, training, and support to grow purpose-driven businesses. She's author of Get Courageous Now, a woman's guide to finding her passion and purpose in life, and the Get Courageous Now journal, both offering women a step-by-step guide to radically break through the mindset of fear. Kiki has personally coached hundreds to achieve greater success and is a sought-after keynote speaker. She's a regular contributor on Forbes.com and has a master's degree in positive psychology coaching. Lisa T. Schlesinger is a licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, and psychoanalyst, practicing in Bethesda, Maryland. She continues her commitment to her patients through weekly learning groups and supervisions. Lisa has been practicing psychoanalytic psychotherapy for 20 years, working with everyday people who struggle with anxiety, depression, stuckness, loneliness, transitions, relationship, and the list goes on. Lisa's focus is on helping people understand their part in their difficulties. She's a serial blogger and has authored articles for the Huffington Post, the Washingtonian, and My Tango. Thanks so much for coming out, ladies. I really appreciate it. So when you were thinking about getting married, and whenever that was, for me it was about 100 years ago, did you have a clue as to how things would roll? How it would go, how it would be? Anybody want to take that?
I know I didn't. I was young. I was around 24 when I got married. And so at the time when I met my husband, I met him online. And so that was an unknown. And then when I got to know him, he proposed to me within 6 months. And then within a year, we were married.
He jumped on that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know a good thing when you see it.
I think he did.
So I didn't have a clue of what marriage really was.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone.
Yeah,
I don't think you're alone out there in TV land either.
Right.
How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I was married at 24. Didn't know, it was almost like this is what you did. You went to college, and then after college you get married, and after you get married you have kids, and
follow the plan.
Yeah, exactly. I was just in a wedding in Italy last week, and the bride was 32, And, you know, I think she has a better idea. So I think maybe it, you know, sometimes
More
it's-
planted, more
yeah, just-
grounded.
yeah.
How about you?
I think I did have a sort of realistic idea about marriage and who I was marrying. I think that a lot of people get married and then they sort of feel like, who is this next to me?
They do.
Like,
Trust me,
what
they do.
happened here?
Yeah,
So-
or who are you?
Yeah.
Like when they wake up in the morning.
Yeah. Who are you?
Exactly. All right. So if we were to give some about to be married people some advice, like, because it would be nice, don't you think, if they gave us a heads up? We go to school, we learn all this stuff. They don't give us a heads up about marriage. Nobody tells us too much. Maybe you know, the priest or rabbis, you know, before it happens. What would you tell them to prepare for? If you know, the wisdom of you. Anybody want to jump in?
I would tell them, you know, it's communication is, sometimes you have this vision of what the future will look like, but you keep it to yourself, is to have those conversations is, would you ever want a dog? Would you ever want a cat? Do you feel like working all your life? Do you not feel like working all your life? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to retire?
So that this person you're marrying might know what's going on in his head.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
How about you, Keith?
So I have two things. One of the things my pastor asked us a question before we got married, and I was like, oh, this is a very interesting question. And he said, if there is anything you would like to change about this person that they do right now, and if you're going to get married, you're going to not want to change that thing about that person, because you can't. They may never change.
Yeah, you can't change people.
So
you
if-
could change yourself.
Right,
but
you can change
can't
yourself.
change them, and good luck to you.
Exactly. So he said, if you don't like something about this person that you want to change, then maybe marriage is not for you, because chances are that thing that you don't like will never ever change.
Exactly.
And so I thought that was really interesting. And then the other thing is that, you know, sometimes you can't sweat the small stuff. I mean, there are things that I used to argue about and all this kind of stuff, and I was just like,
finally,
let it
enough.
go.
It's just not important.
It's
There
right.
are things for sure that are not important.
Right,
But they
compromise.
were important.
Right, exactly.
What do you think, Lisa?
I think that what I would say is to try to cultivate a friendship. I think a lot of times people get married still feeling a lot of passion, and they don't always cultivate, I think at the end of the day, the friendship is what makes a good marriage,
Right.
besides, you know, the romance.
Like, just don't get married because you're all the novelty and you're all excited. You know, like.
There's all kinds of
'Cause
fantasies.
sooner or later, you know, the smoke's going to clear. And
Right, the fantasies that people have about each other, unconscious fantasies, you know, really are sort of removed when you really live with that person.
Right.
And so you really need to find ways to be compatible. So that's kind of the advice I would give.
Okay, one last quick thing in this segment. Every relationship has disagreements. When is fighting bad? When is it okay? Because everybody fights, everybody disagrees, but when is fighting bad?
Go ahead.
What does it look like?
I think it takes the form of abuse first, which is a vague it's a vague word, but I think abusive fighting, where you're criticizing and you're, you know, digging at the other, and you're giving people the other person the silent
Calling
treatment.
names.
Yeah, where there's just no respect, and
Right.
it's really just an incredibly volatile, you know, sort of environment.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think that hitting below the belt is definitely a no-no, but also when you think that the other person is trying to cause you harm. You
Yes.
know?
Then it's scary.
Yeah, it's
You
very
start
scary.
to feel scared, you know something's wrong.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you should get that, because
Yep.
if it's scary, something's wrong.
It's a
And
signal.
You can't
Yep.
sleep with one eye open. You know,
No.
It's not like, no, thank you.
Right, no
You'll be
thanks.
sleeping downstairs now. God.
Exactly.
Thank you. Anything?
Just, I know it's hard to be respectful, and I think it's probably what you were saying is you have to deal with the topic at hand, but when there's a lack of respect and not letting the other person speak,
That's when it's just.
that's when it gets bad.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're going to go to the next segment, which is called the Sexpectation segment. We'll be right back. So, talking about sex, for some it's okay, but for most it's not. Any suggestions you might have for a couple that's having trouble talking about it, bringing it up on the table, and can we please talk about this thing that we're doing? Because maybe we could improve it.
I would say talk about it when you are in a good place, like maybe over dinner, somewhere maybe in public, so that it doesn't feel so taboo-ish. And so if you bring that up in public or just over dinner, you're not talking loud, but say, hey, I just wanted to talk to you about this thing.
So Kiki thinks basically he's about to bite into a steak.
Yep. Yep.
It's time to drop the load.
It is. Because we're in a good place.
Yeah.
We're not fighting. We're
You're
not,
at home where you can run to your corner.
Exactly. Or you can hit below the belt then and that kind of thing, but you're out, you're having fun. And I know me and my husband, we always go on date nights and we do check-in anyway. So I'm like, so how am I doing as a wife? And he'll ask how he's doing as a husband. And this is our moment to give, constructive feedback. And so during that time, if I'm not feeling something, I say, well, this has been on my mind and I wanted to talk to you about it. And it works wonders.
Kiki's got a 9-month-old at home.
I do.
A beauty.
Wow.
A
Yes.
beauty.
Yes, she's amazing.
Anybody else? Like, what do you, or can you just jump in and say it? It's just, you might be able to, but the other person, what are you talking about that?
I don't know. I think the old social work idea of sort of presenting a positive and then a negative and then a positive, sort of like a sandwich. Yeah, it might help.
Might get him thinking about a sandwich, though. That's a whole nother thing.
How about an Oreo? I don't know.
That's a whole nother
Oreos.
polyamorous thing, that's going on out there. Oh, okay. So how might having a sexually adventurous spouse help a marriage? How might it not? How might it not help a marriage?
I have a comment on
Okay.
Sex is a big thing in the marriage, and if there's one that wants it more or the expectation is more, it does put a strain. And again, I think it really comes down to some women might feel the obligation but be resentful, and you really have to communicate. You've got to say, this is too much, I'm not happy, can we compromise?
Right, not just like act as if,
Exactly.
Hey, like, Mom, you told me just to smile and
Right,
I
exactly.
can hold my breath.
Yeah, and most women do, because
I'm sure they do.
yeah.
I mean, I think if you're in a loving relationship, you can reserve the right to say, not so much. I'm not into that, but maybe we can try something else. I think
Like, where'd you see that?
right, like,
Hey, where'd you get that one?
Exactly.
What you watching?
What you been watching? But if you, hopefully you're in that kind of relationship where you can say, but I'm willing to try something else that's similar.
Right.
Or, I ran across this. What do you think? Getting that permission and the buy-in before you actually try the thing.
What do you think about this? Show 'em the
Right.
See, just put us in the picture. And,
Right.
That kind of thing. Well, what do you think? Under what conditions does a spouse agree to be a little more experimental? And what kind of conditions do they not?
I think this is about safety and trust. And so if, you feel that your spouse is someone you can feel safe with and, they respect your feelings, then you might, inch along, toward whatever the other
Good
spouse
pun.
would
I like that one.
Inch along.
Way to go.
I
Way
didn't
to
even
go,
notice
Lisa.
it.
Way to go,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Boo boo.
Yep, that was part of my
What else?
training.
Like, what kind of, the condition of it, the setting, like what's going on in your marriage, and
I think when you're in a very good place in your marriage, then it's a good time to try something new and adventurous. When you want to take your relationship to the next level, when it's gotten stale and dry, and you're like, I need something to spice us up a little bit. Why don't we try something different? I think that's a good time to actually try some adventurous stuff as well.
And then they might say, well, can we play a board game instead?
I think maybe sneak attacks are actually helpful, but in a subtle way, a sort of seductive sneak attack, not something that would be threatening or scary, but something that Because I think if one spouse is knowing, has some knowledge that the other one is coming, tonight's the night that we're going to try this adventure. I think that's really
Anxiety.
beyond. That's like Jaws coming at you,
Right. Right.
And instead, it would be better to have sort of, just a subtle sort of building up.
Because the truth is, they might not show up.
And then you got scared for nothing.
Right.
Say, how long have you been at the CVS? How long have you been there? That kind of.
Right.
You're afraid to go home.
But even bringing up the idea before the act even happens, it's like, would you ever consider blah, blah, blah? Maybe. Well, in what way and in what circumstance? And
Yeah, that's always good because you can gauge what they are willing to do and what they're not willing to do. You're like, so if you propose this, exercise and they're like, not so much, you're like, well, maybe let me go back to the drawing board and then ask it in a different way, and then you can still do the sneak attack because you have
Laid the foundation.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
Right.
for sure, you've advanced yourselves. At least you have. Perhaps you might hear some comments, in the morning. Oh no, but, hey, do that again, or
Right.
whatever. I don't know. So, I'm gonna talk about orgasms. Well, what do they do for us emotionally, and when we're out there, in the world? And is there a difference between having it with somebody or bringing it on yourself? We're in the advent of sex toy explosion, and there are many people who are solving their sex problems, using toys and parties, and I'm sure some of you have been to some. And what do you think? Like, they showed if I guess I could say the Viagra commercial, where the guy walks in, and he's all happy, and he walks into the corporation, he's jumping, everybody's looking at him and saying, what's different about him? Like, what's going on with him? And the point is that finally, I guess they had some, action. So, what do you think? What does it do? I have 3 women here.
I think that it brings people back to the way they felt when they were actually in their mother's womb. There's a sense of sort of a union that brings up a kind of intimacy, not to mention that there's physiological things that go on that make people in better moods and reduce anxiety. And I think there is a difference between masturbation and being with a partner in terms of orgasm.
Like what? Because there's a lot of porn out there, and there's a lot of people hitting that porn.
It's a part, it's sort of like what we call sort of a part object. If you look at porn or you're using something just by yourself, I think that you're not relating anymore to another person. There's actually something.
I think it's good to do both. I
There you
think being by yourself, you can figure out what you like and what you don't like, and you can communicate that to your partner. And if you it's you by yourself and going, oh, I think I like that, then it's something you can share with a partner.
You can figure out your spot.
Exactly. And even doing it with your partner it's really, that's intimate too.
Yes, very much so.
I think it's interesting though that you say that because I agree that you can figure out your spot, but then what if your partner can't hit the spot? So then
I've
we
heard
have a
that
problem.
too. I've heard people complain
Yeah,
about
so
that
it's
too.
like
Well, then you use the toy with your partner
well,
to get
yes,
to the spot.
Yes.
That's another thing, though, the introduction of technology to our marriage.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother, but it's
Well, you
important.
know me
It's
and
important.
my internet-based
Yeah,
life.
I mean, we had that.
But I think
amazing.
with having an orgasm, first of all, it makes you happy. It releases those endorphins
Yes.
and everything. And who doesn't want to be happy?
Exactly.
And I think that when one of our 6 core values as humans is connection.
That's
And
right.
so that's why I think that having that with another person, it fulfills a core value that we all need, which is that connection piece.
That's right.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But I do agree also that it's important to know your body, know your soul, know your psyche, and what
Yeah.
fantasies you like, and how to convey that. So
And
I
not
think they're
feel
both.
bad about it.
Yes,
Not feel,
yes.
because so many people feel so guilty about
Right.
it. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much, Andrea, Kiki, Lisa. A great marriage panel with a lot of information and a lot of wisdom. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. So to find out more about our marriage panel guests, here's how to contact them. To connect with Lisa Schlesinger, to connect with Kiki Ramsey. My consulting and coaching practice has allowed me the privilege and opportunity to work with couples with a wide array of relationship and marital challenges, including infidelity, communication, sexual concerns, both face-to-face in Maryland and virtually all over the world through my online relationship and marriage intervention practice. I invite you to find out more about how I can counsel and coach your marriage through my signature programs, Recharge Your Marriage Now. Get in touch with me and you can begin to enrich your marital communication skills. Be heard and listened to. Say what you need to say to each other. Resolve some of that raw marital conflict. Reconnect for a deeper, more fulfilling relationship. Spice up your marriage. Don't some of you want to feel the love again? Please like my Facebook page, Recharge Your Marriage. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can see this show. This is show 34. Finally, and I'll ask the panel to help me a bit. Try some forgiveness if you can. Hug, kiss, anything else? Touch. Have a laugh. Any ideas? Some fun. Put a little novelty.
Yeah.
You know, some people like to cuddle. Some people don't.
Some adventure.
So have
Hold
some
a
adventure.
hand. Hold your hand.
Hold hands. Laugh a little. Talk about what you need from each other. Anything else?
Risk and approach your spouse even when you're scared to.
Say you're sorry. It's hard, but say you're sorry. Remember, we're the sum of our mistakes and our successes. So it's okay. We're only human. You can try again. I'm Zev Halpern. See you next time for Recharge Your Marriage.